I've got that timing down. Hello, everyone. Welcome to LPTV Disney Morning News Update, our morning show, usually at 10 a.m. Pacific, but sometimes sooner if we've got breaking news, where we just go through kind of overview of the previous day in the world of Disney news and what's coming up today, including any breaking news, which often happens in the morning. And we actually have some breaking news we'll be starting with today. But first, no matter how big the news is, we start every show with the same thing we started the last show with, at least when I'm here. Kyle,
Yes.
One of these days I will remember to share my screen before I click go live, but today is not that day.
Today, I'm going to guess that the stock is down.
Okay, well, the S&P is down 1.39%. Your prediction for Disney, just give me a number. What is Disney stock right now?
Down 2%.
Down almost 3%, all the way down to 93. I think it's official. Iger's term as CEO is a who's
Bring in Queen
All
McCarthy.
right, hey Caitlin, nice to see you. We have some breaking news here. We're going to bring on our CEO Benji, who has been working the phones, working the BlackBerry this morning. Find out what that breaking news is. Ben, what's going on?
You always make me feel like I'm Schefter.
I'm trying. Yeah, you need it. Someone needs to call him so his phone can go off in the middle of this. So he's like,
Wait, does Schefter still have a BlackBerry?
No one still has. If they do, they don't work. So what's the big news, Ben?
Disney World just reached out to us to let us know about some updates coming to Genie Plus. Nothing, I don't think, earth-shattering, but it's going to be rolling out in the next week or so. And basically, you'll be able to make modifications without having to cancel and rebook. So sort of, would you like to replace it with this, with that? And in addition, you'll also be able to change your party so that you can, when you make the modification, you can have different people with you. Like, let's say you meet up with different friends and they have Genie Plus. And I think it's important to note too. I've seen some people, reporting on it, but I think it's important to note this is a bi-coastal change. So this will be in the My Disney Experience app for Walt Disney World and the Disneyland app for Disneyland. The messaging they gave us, we're continuing to listen to guest feedback, continue to make improvements, yada, yada, yada. Honestly, I'm a little confused as to why they think this is like
sort of a push.
Yeah. I think of like Delta. It's like they changed the app and, and they'll put it like when you update it, they'll tell you like the new feature, but I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a big deal. I haven't used Genie Plus, so I didn't even know some of these were issues. The first when I saw it was just, now you can just change without canceling. I'm like, okay, that's not that big of a difference. But I think given how I would use Genie Plus if I were to go to the parks, I think the second change is actually more significant because I didn't realize that was the case, that you had to kind of lock in your party there. So being able to make fast passes with friends on the fly like that does sound like something that I would actually use.
Yeah, it certainly sounds useful. I don't think there's any question that this is a useful update. It's just, I'm surprised it's so major that, the way they're some things they just do and some things get pushed.
Yeah.
This is getting pushed.
Yeah, I guess it's just odd to get, and I appreciate it. I'm not trying to tell them not to make the phone call, but it's just odd for this to
scratch Benji off the list.
Well, no, I mean, just I'm happy for the change, but I guess my only concern is that if they think this is a big deal, then that's probably a miscalculation. It is frustrating. I mean, I don't necessarily have the issue with Genie, but it's frustrating. Like when you book a rental car or something, like a hotel, and you want to make a modification, and basically it's just telling you to start over. And you're like, that's not really what I want to do. I want to just rebook it, but whatever.
So I think this is actually quite interesting. Yeah, this seems like something they normally would just put up to the Disney Parks blog, but it is undoubtedly a very, very useful thing. But this seems like something that I'm going to take Ben off until he's done with whatever he's doing there. I think it's funny that I just noticed this today. Disney Parks blog often has articles off on the side from non-Disney sources, and the top story right there right now is Lightning Lane upchargers are not necessary to enjoy Disneyland. And I think that's hilarious, since that's obviously a big deal for Disney, these Lightning Lane upcharges. And I agree, it's not necessary, but it sure helps a lot. So, but on the one
And
hand,
that's not just an RSS feed. Like there's some curation there, because we've popped up there before, and yeah.
If it's purely curated, and that's also not like a mistitled. I looked at the article, and that is exactly what the article is. And I'm glad they're letting people know that you don't have to have Lightning Lane to enjoy the parks. But it is funny for that to be at the exact same time they just put out this information, which is not yet on the blog. I'm not sure it's been available to come back yet, because I did have some questions for him. Did we get a date on this?
Within a week or so.
Okay. And at least this is an app update. I sure hope they update both apps at the same time, because I'm an Android user. And if they don't, that means you Apple people, I'm sure, are going to get it first. While we've got you, Ben, so yesterday you were at the premiere of National Treasure: Edge of History. Any tidbits you want to mention coming out of that? Any preview of who we're going to be seeing in our red carpet interviews later on today?
We did meet Felix from Raven's Home, and I just, I guess you see all these kids, right? Like there's someone, they're so focused on getting their picture taken, and he's just chilling with the publicist, like, and giving us feedback on our interviews, like going, "You did a good job with that one," like in the background. So, it's endearing. You hope that these, I'm gonna call them kids, but these young actors who you appreciate end up, not falling victim to their trade, but.
Yes. I have a story about that. I was on set once with a very young Jenna Ortega, and she was very sweet to us and had a bunch of questions for us older background actors. And so I've always been cheering for her, and you can see her in Wednesday now on Netflix.
And so you mentioned Jenna Ortega, and there was a tweet today, which I was going to include in our fun stuff section, but then I removed because I'm not sure it's a legit tweet. Not that, this is something of utmost importance that you better make sure you get accurate. But it could be a parody site. I'm not sure. So take this for what you will. But since you brought up Jenna Ortega, the star of Netflix's Wednesday, I believe this is now officially the hottest show on streaming. According to gratuitous Disney memes, so again, not sure this is a legit source. This could be a pure parody source, which is fine because it's funny. Jenna Ortega reveals to Vogue that her favorite character of all time is Buck Cluck from Chicken Little.
I'm thinking that's
parody. Out loud, I'm pretty sure it's parody, but I think it's pretty hilarious parody.
Yes. Buck Cluck from Chicken She was also, if you'll remember, we probably have interviewed her. I think if you go to the Laughing Place YouTube channel, we have interviewed Jenna before because she was on Stuck in the Middle.
Yeah. With Felix.
With Felix, interesting.
The Seinfeld circle has occurred. Here is Jenna.
They're good people, Doobie.
Did you say good people?
I said good people.
Jenna Ortega, back in the day, when is this interview? 6 years ago.
Wow. Old logo.
And she is Wednesday herself. Like, Alex doing that interview. So, pretty cool. Not the National Treasure Edge of History red carpet, as the matter says. This is actually
this was back when National Treasure Bono of History came out.
Did you hear Larry Mullen apparently isn't going to tour if they tour next year?
No, I didn't hear that.
He's like, I'm getting old and I need to take some time off. Yes, Ben.
I just want to give an update on the Genie Plus stuff. It's only Genie Plus, not individual Lightning Lane.
That's a disappointment. Leave it to Disney to disappoint when it comes to tech.
Well, that you would have to cancel because it's a different pricing, presumably. For there's also only one attraction, individual Lightning Lane. So
it should have been 9 o'clock. Yeah, change the time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the 3 o'clock becomes available, and you had it for 10, and you want to switch it to 3. That'd be nice. Too bad. Cancel and hope. All right, so Jenna Ortega, thank you for making an appearance today, as well as Cluck Buck. Did not have that on the official schedule, but when you're live, you can make these kind of changes. guess you can do it when you're recording. Too.
But
right.
National Treasure, I will say too. It was very cold. So if you see the camera shaking, I'm shivering. Please be patient. But it was nice. It was you don't normally get TV premieres at the El Capitan, so.
Yeah, and if you were pay attention, we had that live on LPTV last night. We were doing 2 events at once from Southern California, so you got to see a live interview with Isaac Ryan Brown from Raven's Home, if that's who you were just referring to. So, all right, thanks, Ben. We're going to dump you out of here. The other thing we were covering was Walt's airplane, which made its debut at the Palm Springs Air Museum, and that had a pretty cool event. Sorry, the plane has been there, but it made the debut of the exhibition there. They also made a pretty major announcement that was kind of unexpected and fun. We had a lot of live stream. We got to live stream the introduction of the exhibit with the guy who got really emotional talking about a plane. And as a lover of airplanes, I really appreciated that. And also a really nice video. I'm going to ask Jeremiah what exactly that was, that video that they showed. So anyway, we're bringing on Jeremiah Good. He was there in Palm Springs yesterday, fresh from, I think he was scouting out his retirement home while he was out there.
I was. Story Living is a nice flat dirt right now, so it looked amazing.
And he was also checking out Lone Pine Some Pine Mall, which was pretty cool in Puente Hills. So this is Jeremiah Good.
Depending on which scene it is, so you're not wrong to be confused.
I am not confused.
I also visited the Cabazon dinosaurs because yesterday was Large Marge's birthday, so we had to pay tribute.
Jeremiah did it all. But we're here to talk about Walt's plane today. So Jeremiah, what was it like out there at Palm Springs? You fit right in.
So this was actually a D23 event. They invited us out. It was technically the first public viewing of Walt's plane since the expo, and they put in a nice hangar, beautiful. They had the great presentation with Becky and Michael Vargo.
What's this?
It was not the first viewing of the plane since the expo.
Okay, well, correct it. What was it?
It was the debut of the exhibit. The plane, I saw the plane in Palm Springs about 3 weeks ago, but the exhibit wasn't ready. They did an event a lot when
they just proving that there was not a real reason to cover this event, except for the announcement that they made.
No, it's good to be. Thanks, Ben.
It is in a hangar there. Yes, this was the the big hoo ha ha of it. So yes, they did a great introduction. The documentary that Mike did on live stream that we probably shouldn't have had on live stream because it doesn't have a home where that documentary is going to be debut. They showed it to the guests
LPTV.
there. Yeah. They showed it to the guests out there, and then I asked later of where it will be seen, and they don't have a set home for it yet. Probably they're going to put it on a TV on a constant loop near the plane, and then
that's what it
probably
felt
show up.
It felt like a part of the exhibit, but it was a pretty 20-minute documentary on the history of Walt's plane that I just was fascinated by. Absolutely.
No, there was lots of footage that I'd never even seen of not only Walt's plane, but Walt Disney World construction. And they had some great photos of Walt and Roy on the plane with their wives and, some of the ambassadors back in the day. They interviewed one who was an Imagineer that they asked to fly to Walt Disney World. At the time, I think she said she was an attraction host, and it was her and 8 other girls, and they flew them to Walt Disney World to be part of the Walt Disney World Preview Center. And the picture looked like they were just having a party on the plane because they're all just I was waiting to see drinks in everybody's hands. But it was very nice. The plane looks amazing. The exhibits that they had at the expo are back there. They actually put the recreation of Walt's chair behind glass, so it's not just open to the public to reach out and touch like people were doing in expo. But the nice thing is,
I did want to ask you. We're going to get back to the plane, but what's going on here, Jeremiah?
I'm trying Walt's favorite chili.
How was it?
It was chilly. That's my look of. Yeah, it's good.
It's also chilly in SoCal when we were filming where we were shaking hands.
See, and I was in Palm Springs, and it wasn't that cold out there, so
Well,
I don't know.
it's kind of when the city next to yours includes the word desert, that's how you know it's probably going to be a little warmer.
So these are just showing a little bit of that documentary we were referring to. So there was some big news announced, Jeremiah. And
Yeah,
what was
the Palm Springs Air Museum, along with the Walt Disney Archives, are starting a multi-year process to recreate the interior of the plane, which was essentially when they flew it into Walt Disney World and parked it at Disney MGM Studios at the time, everything was just left in there and pretty much rotted away. So when they went through to clean up the plane and move it to Expo and then move it out to Palm Springs, they tore out almost everything inside, so it's just a shell. And now they're talking with some of the restoration people that do the Grumman planes, and they're going to go through and step by step make it so it essentially when Walt would fly in the 60s.
Now, am I unreasonable to think that multi-year seems like a lot for a plane of this size? I mean, it's not a 737.
Yeah, but it's because everything was done custom. In the documentary, they talked about how when you ordered the plane, you got to choose what you wanted the interior to look like. And, it is pretty basic, tables, chairs. One of the things that I never knew is the separation spot in between Walt's office or Walt's private area that was in the back of the plane and the front where the Imagineers and everybody would be. Those leaves are actually from his Carrollwood home, and they put them in that glass.
Oh, wow.
So if they're going to recreate that, they're going to have to climb a fence out there in Carrollwood.
Things take time. This is done in conjunction with Phoenix Air is doing that restoration. And the really exciting part to me is obviously if they're going to restore all that, you got to be able to see it. They're going to let guests go into the interior of the plane and check it out. I wonder if you'll be able to sit, I sat where Walt sat. That would be so.
Well, I do that all the time with Tam O'Shanter.
Sure. Where is the plane now? It's at the Palm Springs Air Museum, which is actually located right at the Palm Springs Airport. And will
Correct.
the plane be brought to Florida? It's already been in Florida. It's been in Florida for years.
Yeah. No, the plane will not be moving from that location unless something drastic happens.
Was the plane project a Chapek initiative? Because it was initially done for the D23 Expo. I don't know if it was. I don't know if we know if it was.
No, because this was actually something that was done by the archives themselves. So because the plane had been sitting in the back, it pretty much when they pulled it from the back lot, 5 years ago now, it sat on Disney property rotting in the sun. And they talked about how Becky wanted to move it at one point out to the archives years ago, and then they finally got it through. But this has been going on for, if we look at the timeline, this would probably still be under Iger when this project started.
Okay. And under Iger when this project finishes, which just goes to show.
Well, if they do it in 2 years.
Do you have some of the other pictures? They added some really cool stuff to the left side rear of the plane where Walt would actually sit.
Well, let me scroll for you guys. If they're in the article, I've got them, but I don't know if they are.
I'm not sure. But Walt would sit in the rear of the plane on the left side, and they added a silhouette on that window so you could tell where he was, and they put details over the windows to make everything. I think if you go,
it's also a lamp that's now always on. So
but you can't see it because you can't see in the plane.
Into windows.
But yeah, the plane was beautiful. The event was lots of fun. It was a very interesting historic event, which I know some of the D23 folks were asking people that were there what they thought of that type of event, and it was getting a lot of positive feedback from what I was hearing. So hopefully they'll do more of the historic and less of the hey, come and see a movie. Not that there's anything wrong with, hey, come see a movie, because they show some great classic films also.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Jeremy. Again, the plane can be found at the plane and the associated exhibit can be found at the Palm Springs Air Museum, located in Palm Springs, at the Palm Springs Airport, and I presume it's available right now.
Yes. And also something that they found out while they were working to move the plane over was Walt was actually somebody who signed on to the bonds to create the Palm Springs Airport. But I think that was also something that was a little self-fulfilling. Like, he needed to fly somewhere.
That was fascinating. The Palm Springs Airport, Walt played a large part in getting it built. And now this is where it's playing with. This is the most important question of the day. Do you have the recipe for Walt's chili? Specifically, is it a bean chili or a no bean chili?
It was a can of Hormel, and I can't remember what the other one was, because that's, everybody makes this huge thing of Walt's chili. Walt was a simple man. He grabbed a can of Hormel and a can of another chili, dumped it in, warmed it up. That was his chili.
Did he microwave it or do it on the stove?
At that time, I guess he would have done it on the stove, because microwaves were still a few years away, or they were too big for him to have in his little apartment.
We have breaking news here. Apparently, the one was Hormel chili, but the other was Gebhardt chili. So.
Do they still have a Sonny Bono concourse at the Palm Springs Airport? Do we know?
That I do not know. We didn't get to go into the actual airport itself, but the Air Museum is amazing. It has an F-117 Nighthawk, the stealth fighter. They actually have a decommissioned one in there that they just finished restoring. There you go.
Not to be confused with Bono, who we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Coincidentally, Sonny Bono also will not be touring with U2 next year.
No.
Will Walt?
That remains to be seen. Jeremiah, do you know what happened 10 years ago today?
When you said New Fantasyland opened, for me, I was like, wow, 1983, it's only been 10 years?
1983, 10 years ago today, Jennifer Goodwin in front of Cinderella Castle. We are going to celebrate New Fantasyland right now, and also the opening of Test Track 2.0 was today as well. That was a dual event.
So do we just pass the 10-year anniversary of the solo Dragon flight? Or is that also?
Yes.
That would have been last night. So we're actually going to show these full videos, the grand opening of each at the conclusion of today's show. But right now we're going to do a little talk for this day in history, New Fantasyland. Jeremiah, what were your thoughts when New Fantasyland was announced? Do you remember thinking, man, it's about time, or why?
When it was originally announced, I was very much in the why category, because it was just, 5 meet and greets was the original plan for New Fantasyland and The Little Mermaid.
And Tinkerbell,
Pixie Hollow ride type thing.
Yeah, the Pixie Hollow.
That was one of those ones that, because I was still in California and they announced it, and I was like, that's kind of, sure, you're just getting rid of a giant empty lagoon, but at the same time, it's very, very girl based. I don't mean to offend anybody, but, and then of course,
princess based.
It was very princess based, because it was Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and Belle all had meet and greets at that point. And then I don't remember who it was a few years later or shortly thereafter, that talked to his son, and he's like, I don't want to go there. And then that's when they decided to take out the meet and greets and put in Mine Train.
What were your impressions of it as it began to open? It did not all open 100% at once. I think Storybook Circus opened, and then the rest of it opened, and then finally the Snow White's Mine Train opened after New Fantasyland officially opened. But what is your impression of New Fantasyland today?
I'm excited for it to get back to its full force. The story time with Belle hasn't returned, but that was always one of those things. I felt that was always the hidden gem of the land, being able to go through the magic mirror and see this retelling the story of Belle, and it was very fun to be the interactive parts of it. I love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Little Mermaid is a great addition. Just that whole area feels so much what I think they need to redo all of other Fantasyland to catch up to.
Yeah, to me, the highlight of New Fantasyland, that's such a hard thing for me to say. New Fantasyland. I'm a big fan of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it's just what they did with the look of it, particularly as you're walking, say, from Storybook Circus all the way through to the other end, back to Old Fantasyland, as you walk by Gaston's Tavern and the shop over there and Ariel's. It's immersive, I think is a good word. I think that's often used in theme parks. It's a very immersive environment. It kind of was the precursor to Galaxy's Edge. Universal did their Harry Potter thing, and we've got New Fantasyland, which isn't up to that level, but it's approaching it, at least in that particular section of it. And that's what I love about the land, is that immersiveness, being able to stand there and see the Beauty and the Beast castle off in the distance. And that restaurant, while I'm not a huge fan of it as a restaurant, but as a location, just to walk through it and see all the effects and all the decor, both outside and inside, Be Our Guest is a beautiful, well done restaurant.
And the story time with Belle Q is still like worth doing, even if you have no interest in the show itself.
Yeah, that is true. And since it's the second time we've said it, I will go Tony and go, technically it's Enchanted Tales with Belle, not Storytime with Belle.
The Belle thing, I don't even know. I didn't even pretend like that's what it is.
Well, right now it's just a Belle meet and greet. So
yeah, I would like to get back. That's a fun interactive show where they get the kids involved, and as Kyle mentioned, the queue for it is spectacular. So
can we declare that Be Our Guest was a failure of a concept now that they've not gone back to the quick service and dinner? Like where it used to be the quick service during the lunch, it's all sit down.
Is that a failure of concept, or is that just realizing how to make more money?
It changed because of COVID, but I don't know if they were ever going to go back to it, because it was so difficult that, it's like flipping the switch on Space Mountain into Ghost Galaxy. It should be easy, but to clear everybody out from the daytime, then have to reset everything for the dinner was always a challenge. And I know people that work there everybody loves the sit down just as a whole now.
Of course, when New Fantasyland opened, it wasn't really complete for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Am I correct that this was the first introduction of alcohol into Magic Kingdom, Be Our Guest restaurant?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. Yeah, and that is the slippery slope that is going to happen. They probably even admit it was going to happen. Once you do it one place, it's going to get around it. It has.
And now they're up to liquor. That's even this year they've still been updating, rolling out more cocktails instead of just beer and wine and beyond. So
if you want to get sauced, you no longer have to go to Hollywood Studios. You can do it right there at Magic Kingdom. And strangely enough, Epcot doesn't serve alcohol, do they?
What doesn't?
Epcot?
Oh, they have, a couple places you can get some liquor. I mean, they don't really make like an event out of it. There's no like themed fan merchandise.
Club Cool, I can just walk in and get it right from the
There's
tap.
no alcohol in the name of one of the central festivals of the park.
You cannot get alcohol at Club Cool yet.
Actually, Epcot was the very first place that was Disney to serve alcohol to the public, considering it was only the third park. So
right.
You just roll in your cooler to Holiday Land. There's your beer.
What's
Club
the
33
without beer?
Well, I don't know how long Club 33 is.
Tony said Epcot is a theme park turned bar, and he suggests going to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Yeah, it is. Epcot, man. I wonder if Epcot, assuming Epcot is profitable, would it be profitable without alcohol? I would love to see the numbers on that.
Do you know how many people go to Hollywood Studios and do drinking around the city? All the way from Sunset to Hollywood Boulevard.
But really, isn't
Yes.
Epcot the only one that has, or Disney's Hollywood Studios is the only one that really has its own specific bar with the tap house?
Epcot has the tequila bar.
There's also a cantina.
Yeah. Oh, and Animal Kingdom has the Dawa bar.
Yes. But I mean, those all are
No is the answer.
more eateries. But the bar at Studios is really just, I guess they also had the bar at 50s, so never mind.
Yeah.
I retract the statement.
Jeremiah.
As somebody who doesn't drink at all.
I know, yeah. You and I are the real experts on this, the two
And me.
I think half our staff doesn't drink, actually, now that I think about it. But the other half more than makes up for it.
That's why Mac
That's
is
just
VP
Mac.
of alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Doobie. What were you going to say?
Love his VPosity. The other thing that's celebrating 10 years today is Test Track 2.0. 2.0 or 1.0, Jeremiah?
1.0 still.
Dose.
Storytelling was my favorite part of that.
Kyle says dose. You prefer 2?
I would say 1.0's pre-show video is obviously better, but the queue for 2.0 is infinitely less annoying to me.
Oh, absolutely. Look, there's a air piston hitting a seat over and over and over again.
You think it's less annoying, but there's that in the 2.0 queue, there's a part where you kind of go into that other side room and come out of it, and they have this video playing in there with, I think, GM employees or whatever. Hey, I see that. I assumed I was about to go, but I think it's just your.
Sorry, I'm back. I got a phone call.
That's okay. And I've been
Craig can
stuck in
tell he's
that.
old. He gets phone calls.
That's a very annoying room to be. I love the cacophony of the original Test Track queue. Test Track 2.0 would not be. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but would be much more enjoyable if there wasn't the anticipation of you get to design your own car and see how it performs, and then it opens and you get to design your own car, and that's the end of that.
It's just like, with age, they need to start removing stuff. Same with the Spaceship Earth. Like, with some technology that we know about, we can put you into the screen. You mean the stuff I can do on my phone? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of with age, we need to start removing stuff. Jeremiah, thank you for joining us. We are going to let you get back to work now. Take that phone call. Appreciate you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye. Tony Betty says, Cole and I will be taking part on a Skyliner Brawl Crawl this evening. So, yes, as I said, the other half can more than make up for it.
All right. Well, RIP custodial.
We didn't do a Skyliner bar crawl, but we did a Skyliner crawl at our LP retreat. That was quite fun. All right, we've got some breaking Disney Cruise Line news that we are going to bring on our CEO. I don't like calling him the CEO when we're doing this show. We're going to bring back on Stat Boy and see what he has. What you got?
So starting December 9th, Disney Cruise Line is going to be changing their cancellation policy regarding COVID. So it's based on when you book it, not based on when you are cruising. So if you book prior actually to December 9th, you are under the old policy. And the new policy is that if you test positive for COVID within 10 days, you will be able to get a full refund to your method of payment.
Just to
compare
compare your
it to
cruise,
your
you don't
policy.
get 10 days after your cruise. You're like, I got a refund. I got COVID.
The old policy was 14 days, and you could have symptoms, a temperature of 100 degrees or greater, known exposure to a person with COVID-19 in the previous 14 days, or test positive. So
it's more restrictive.
It's more restrictive. The one thing that I think is interesting is it's one thing to test. Okay, I test positive for COVID, I get my refund. But if you show up and you have a temperature of like 102, are they still gonna make you go? I
suspect they won't let you go. But I suspect even in the pre-COVID, if we can remember that far back, you show up, you're sick, they don't let you board, you don't get a refund. You're too sick to go. I hope you have travel insurance, right? I presume that's the thing, because they've always had you fill out that thing, and if you're too sick to board, they're not going to let you on there with a communicable stomach flu, but they're also under no obligation to give you a refund because you should have got travel insurance.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I guess one of the things that's interesting is, and this is sort of a travel thing in general, it's like relaxation of cancellation policies. You know, some of them stayed, and it's interesting to see where Disney Cruise Line is going to end up. I mean, obviously, COVID is one thing, but you know, it seems particularly harsh, especially when, you know, if you can prove that you have a temperature, to say you're out of luck is.
Did you feel that way 3 years ago?
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, I felt that way. You know, like if I have the flu, I mean, what makes COVID different than any other respiratory
Well, I think
disease?
that's their point. Is it's not so.
So, but if I test positive for COVID, if I test positive for the flu,
You know, I would not be surprised if this is inching their way back to treating it no differently than any other.
yeah. So, I mean,
one thing is,
especially since the downside is, you know, most people are going to want to go on their cruise. If they test positive for, you know, a list of diseases, I would prefer if they let people stay home, because you don't want people to feel compelled to go. I mean,
the one thing I wonder is, usually if you've got the flu, you have symptoms or you're never testing, but people for various reasons are still testing for COVID kind of regularly. And so if you have asymptomatic COVID, this is the encouragement for you not to get on the ship anyway, because there are, I'm sure, plenty of people who feel totally fine, no symptoms, but for whatever reason, they had to test, they have COVID. And now the cruise is saying, please don't get on our ship anyway. Please take a refund. I don't think there are too many people like that with the flu in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think it's unnecessarily harsh. I mean, for, you know, not many people are going to take advantage of it. It seems a little thrifty for me.
A little thrifty.
Well, I mean, I just think I think if people are that sick, I mean, first of all, they're dealing with being sick, the dash of losing their vacation, and then being told, like, you can't even go on the ship, and we can't give you a refund. Just seems cool. I mean, I don't know if in practice, I'm guessing in practice they probably do allow you, not so much to get a refund, but I mean, allow you to rebook, I would guess. I mean,
so you just want
unnecessary.
You just want Disney to have you want the cruise line industry to switch to a policy where if you show up, if you happen to be sick at cruise time, we'll give you a refund.
Yeah, and even cruise line. Airlines have done it. Hotels have mostly done it. I think everyone should have a more flexible sick policy. To just, I mean, not necessarily to prevent spread of disease or whatever, just to be kind. You know,
Is it as easy to prove you have the flu or something? I mean, because if you just say, "Hey, you're sick," we'll give you a refund. Then everyone who misses a plane or changes their mind is all of a sudden going to be sick on cruise.
I mean, first of all, missing a plane doesn't matter because they do have flexible cancellation now. Basically, I mean,
no, but I mean, this is the plane for their cruise.
Oh no! Well, I mean, I think it needs to be provable. I mean, you can provide a flu test. That's simple enough. Or I mean, I think that yes, I think it should be proved. You know, something that is provable. I mean, I think, quite frankly, let's say it's a week earlier and you get diagnosed with cancer. I think you should be able to, you know, if you have a certain medical situation that comes up, I think, and you know, and in my practice, in my experience, it's been their practice that if I say, "Hey, I can't go, I don't feel well," they will let me rebook. Right. It's not stated there, but I hope that continues.
The only reason I find it interesting you feel that way, knowing you as, you know, I know you well and I know you're quite mercenary, is there is a such thing as travel insurance just for these reasons. And
sure, but I think
you choose where you want to take your risk.
Right. I just think I think travel insurance is more encompassing for, you know, I mean, and I have travel insurance. Also, travel insurance is a pain in the butt. You know, I just think there's no, in this scenario, I think you're paying enough that you should be given some flexibility, regardless of going, you know, the letter of the law and what should happen is fine.
Yeah, and as you've said, while this may be the stated policy, in practice, it's not always so strict. And sometimes that is how you need to do these things, is separate out the stated policy versus the enforced policy.
And granted, I mean, I wish I could say that if I was, had the flu, that I wouldn't try and hide it to take on my cruise. I feel like I shouldn't, but if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, and I remember filling out those, I don't know if they still do, but you get on the cruise, you have to fill out your health report. And there was a certain place where, yeah, I'm sick, and a certain place where, yeah, I'm not, and a huge gray area in the middle. And, if you've been sneezing and you've got allergies in the past,
Well, I think it's important to remember, too, that if someone in your party is sick, they still won't let you board, even if you are fine.
Right. So
and
cruising is interesting.
And I get that there's, travel insurance. I'm not saying there's not, but there's travel insurance for planes, too. And, most people don't buy it. And I think
do they still sell that at the airport where you can buy that last minute insurance in case your plane goes down, like an airplane?
I don't think so. I remember it, but I haven't seen it forever.
I mean, the fact that planes don't crash anymore is probably a big factor. All right. Well, thanks for that updated Disney Cruise Line news. Appreciate that from Stat Boy there. Teach him. Don't go off until I get the banner down, because then it looks funny. All right. Let's see. I think we have Mike Celestino live from the Disneyland Resort right now. Mike, if you can hear me, give the camera a nod. You can tell he's using a gimbal. Mike, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
The gimbal does not really nod. That was
It really adjusted for my nod.
All right, so let's make Mike big. People can see where we are. We don't need a banner for this. Tell us what's going on, Mike.
Well, I'm here in front of the Disneyland Hotel. This actually looks like it has a new paint job as well. Is this new? Are these colors new? I don't know. But the paint looks new anyway. But the thing that jumped out at me when I got here was the new paint job on the former Paradise Pier Hotel, soon to be the Toy Story Place? No. Pixar Place. Why did I get Toy Story Place? Because it's blue and yellow. Pixar Place Hotel coming up here directly ahead. It's got a nice new yellow and blue and white color scheme. I'm a little wonky here, both in my brain and the camera.
Well, you took a road trip with Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And you had to do all the drinking for both of you, so I'm sure you're pretty wonky.
I had one Sprite.
How cool was it? What was the highlight? You saw the dinosaurs, you saw Story Living, and you saw Lone Twin Pines Mall. What was the highlight?
I gotta say, I've always wanted to go to that mall, it's like a 40-minute drive from where I live, so there's no excuse that I had never been there before.
I have friends that go there every October for a meetup. So
it was pretty cool to see that. But it was really neat to go to that event last night. To be honest, hadn't seen the plane in its current state at D23 Expo, so it's cool to see it in its new home and be around all the D23 folks.
Believe it, yeah. Retired to Palm Springs. They went to Florida, then Palm Springs. It's really doing the rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremiah on earlier to talk about the event. What were your impressions of the event itself?
I like the event. I think it went off really well. They showed that nice documentary that we probably weren't supposed to live stream. We got some nice speeches from Becky Klein and Michael Vargo and the gentleman who runs the museum there. And we got to see all the exhibits, which I'm told were very similar to what other people saw at the expo.
Yeah. And you got the breaking news that they're refurbishing and opening up the inside in a couple years.
Yes, a little over 2 years, they said people will be able to see the refurbished interior, which I asked what's inside there now, and they told me it's just empty. So I guess they tore out the whole interior of the plane, and they're just going to put replicas of everything back in there.
Someone broke into my house and stole everything I had and replaced it with an exact duplicate.
Stephen Wright.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy right now.
See, that I can remember.
All right, so we're heading over to, what's it called again, Kyle?
Paradise Place.
Toy Story Land Hotel.
Yeah, totally. No, Pixar Place Hotel.
Pixar Place Hotel. Is it
It's
called
still
that
called
now?
Paradise Pier right now,
Okay.
to be clear.
We can see some of the paint happening. I was at this hotel a couple of weeks ago. I walked by the front of it, and it looks like it's totally deserted. Like they shut down the whole thing for construction. And then you look up, and there's people in the windows.
I think you check in the ballroom now, like the lobby. You don't even go to the lobby.
There is no lobby right now, and this is not where I'd want to be staying right now.
Yeah, I hear the
Hopefully-
jackhammers going off every once in a while. So yeah, they're still doing work on it, obviously.
Cool. So the scheme on the right, all that yellowish stuff, that's what it's been for years. And you can see what they're doing now with the white and the stripes.
Oh, there's red as well.
Yeah,
red
the white stripes.
White, yeah. The hardest button to button.
Oh yeah, I see the red now.
Took a 7-nation army to put that paint job up.
Is that a jackhammer I'm hearing? That did.
Yeah. No, that's a helicopter.
Okay.
There was a jackhammer earlier, though. I think.
Oh, yes, there's the helicopter. Nice overcast day for you today, Mike.
Yes, that's not too bad. I like this weather. Let's see if we cross and take a look at the other side if they're doing anything else.
Yeah, and so since I talked about it, if you can just kind of walk by the front, we can see how jacked up it is.
Very mid-century modern.
Oh, pan left, so we can see some of the cool outdoor decorations for the Grand Californian. I like what they've done for Christmas this year, which you cannot see at all from this angle.
Well, there's a wreath on the security check-in.
Yeah,
Slightly overcast. It's a little hard
maybe you
to
can't
see.
see it as well at night. There's like behind the sign there's like some stuff going on. Sorry to disappoint. Never mind.
I mean, I get where they're going with this, but I feel like this paint job makes it look like it belongs elsewhere on a harbor boulevard for like the motels that have been there for decades.
Wow.
Do you
make a movie about that?
Do you disagree?
I do.
All right. I think it looks. Well, it's funny because they spend money on it, but I think it looks cheap.
For once, I'm
there's
not
something
the
about it, but just not loving.
All right, crossing the street.
21, 20, 19.
Trying to find my cool pictures of the Grand Californian entrance that I took when I was down there, and I'm not finding them. But trust me, it looks cool. Oh, wow. This definitely gives me a Pixar vibe.
If Pixar was like Trader Vic's.
Mr. Cynicism over
These
here.
folks look like they're getting ready to go up and paint some more right here. Yeah,
Oh.
they nodded yes.
Do you ask him if you can go with him?
I don't think he wants to go on the scaffolding.
That would be cool. So to the right used to be a restaurant, and it is most definitely not now. The only restaurant at this hotel.
A PCH. Well, it wasn't originally the only restaurant at the hotel, but yeah, the
That's
PCH.
right. I forgot. Yamabuki was up front.
How could you forget? It was open like 5 hours a week.
So the front
Lunch,
entrance here is blocked off by construction walls. Can't even get in there.
Yeah, that's where the lobby would be.
It is there. It's just we can't get it.
You mean they didn't just remove it and the host entire hotel stayed up still?
The location's there. I don't think any like lobbiness is there.
Okay, fair enough. The lobby has been removed.
So yeah, I saw this and thought, oh, they closed the entire hotel, but they have not.
That would halt money, Doobie. Gotta keep making money. How much is that? Can you look up how much it is to book this right now? If you were to stay, like maybe next weekend, how much a room would cost you for all this jackhammering and no lobbiness?
That's a good question. I'm going to check that out right now. Places to stay. Paradise.
Assuming you're not a
Pier.
SoCal resident, because I'm sure they have something going on for that too.
At least they tell you straight off. Refurbishments may take place during your visit. So if I wanted to stay there this Friday night, it defaults to 2 nights. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So this side is painted white, but no stripes yet, unless it's going to remain white. Maybe.
I would imagine they'd have some symmetry.
There's somebody right here on a scaffolding. I think he's or a window washer. What do you call that thing?
I don't know.
He's either painting or washing the windows. I don't know.
A pulley.
There you go. I couldn't. It's booked for this upcoming Friday, so I just looked at the middle of January. $375 a night for a standard view, $431 for a premium.
Yikes! I don't think I've ever paid that much for a hotel room, which shows you the kind of hotel rooms I've stayed in.
I have stayed in hotels that cost that much, but I have never paid that much for a hotel room.
Exactly.
Disney does own the hotel. It is not managed. Disney's hotels are all Disney hotels. They don't outsource the management like
anymore.
Universal does. So, yeah. $895 for a suite. Yes, a one-bedroom suite is $895, and a two-bedroom suite is not available right now. Oh, however, if you want a Dana Point signature suite, 2 bedrooms, $2,000 per night. 1 king, 2 queen, a sleeper. Now, this is a large room. We're talking about, like the presidential suite here. So
Sleeps up to 8 adults.
don't go around saying, "Oh man, it costs $2,000 to stay at a hotel under construction." No, it costs $400 to stay at a hotel under construction.
Look at Doobie did that math so quickly in his head. That would have taken me a pencil and some paper. Figure out how much per person that would be.
I got skills. So yeah, I'm glad you asked to look that up. Now I'm so curious how much it costs to stay at the other hotels. Disneyland Hotel, same weekend. It costs $100 more to stay at the Disneyland Hotel. That's a no-brainer. And let's check the Grand Californian. Any prediction, Kyle?
So that was Disneyland was around 500.
Yeah, $498.
I'm gonna say at least 7 for grand.
$616.
All right, not.
We have found the value at the Disneyland Resort. Yeah, I'd feel really proud and brag that I stayed at the Paradise Hero Hotel. Nope. But I'm sure they're only charging that because they can get that. They're not in the business of having empty hotel rooms.
And there is, if they are refurbishing some of the rooms as well, then there's decreased supply.
Decreased capacity. I'm guessing this is the most expensive room at the Disneyland Resort. The El Capitan Suite, 2 bedrooms, sleeps up to 9 adults at the Grand Californian, $7,138 a night in the middle of January.
And what's funny is that that's not the theater, that's the mountain.
Maybe it includes a couple of tickets to the theater, though.
There you go.
Let's get Mike back big up here. Can you still not see what I was looking at over there by the sign? No, maybe it's only visible at night.
Okay, so there's a reindeer and some trees, some Christmas trees.
Okay.
Next to the sign. You want me to go over and get a closer look at those?
Well, Rudolph is right in front of you. Do you see that red light?
Yeah.
It's more impressive at night. You don't need to get it during the day.
Okay. Well,
So what's on your agenda for today, Mike?
We've got a list of a few things that I'm going to try to get video or photos of, and then just a general update overview of the parks, I think.
Okay.
Whatever
Stay
new
tuned to our-
stuff I can find.
Stay tuned to our Twitter for that. If you should happen to come across anything before we go off the air this morning, just give us a note. And when we go back on the air about 3 this afternoon, if you're still in the parks, we definitely want to come see you again. All right, Mike?
Okay. Yeah, just starting to rain here too, so that may be part of my updates. Is what it's like to be
Don't
at
look up.
Disneyland in the rain.
Well, good thing
Okay.
you're not on the freeway, because then you wouldn't be there for another 2 hours.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you. Bye.
Sure. Mike Celestino, everybody. Mike Celestino.
Woo. Is it time for fun stuff, Doobie?
It is time for fun stuff. And oh, how I wish today was yesterday when we had Tony on the show. Because the fun stuff today is one Lee Unkrich,
Oh, I'm sure he'll
The,
pop up any second now that
the
you've summoned
director
him.
of Coco and Toy Story 3, who took to Twitter yesterday to let some opinions be known. Nothing controversial, but it's
Yeah, I will. So I will
Go ahead.
say, like, the one thing I take Obviously, you can see the person deleted the tweet.
Yeah,
when,
that part,
when you
go
have a
back
lot
to
of
that.
influence, quote tweeting someone who like I get it, but it's just going to get them.
I agree with you about that. Me being an influencer, I have to be careful with my quote tweeting as well. But so anyway, someone tweeted, and I think they tweeted it as a positive thing. Like, I'm still amazed that they did this, that they start a kids movie like Up with a montage that's really tragic, and so Lee Unkrich, is it Unkrich or Unkrich?
I don't know.
Okay, Lee tweeted, quote tweeted that because it's not a kids movie, it's a movie for everyone. And then someone else responded, I think something along the lines of, it is a kids movie, or and he says, sorry, no, we make films for everyone and make sure there's nothing inappropriate in them for kids, since we know kids will be a part of our audience. A very well-known and well-respected film director once told me that he hadn't seen Toy Story 3 because his kid was too young. This is a very hot-button topic for me. There is an unfortunate lack of respect for animation as a universal storytelling medium on par with live action, and that barely improved in the 24 years I worked at Pixar. The problem is systemic in the US and the film industry. And then there are a great deal of movies, TV shows, and media that are specifically targeted at kids. That's not the case for Pixar films. I find lots of those things impossible to watch as an adult. So no, I wouldn't say kids' films are for everyone. I honestly don't mean for this to be contentious. I've literally spent 25 years having countless people tell me they've never seen any of the films because they don't have kids or that they don't like kids' movies. I'm not trying to win an argument here. And then he gives basically, with all due respect. Plus, I've been really sick the last few days, so I'm a little crispy. Love to you all.
Your son calling you out on randomly changing a 25 to 24.
Did I really say 24?
The first time, not the second time.
Oh,
Can I ask you a question about Up? It might be a little dark. Do you take the inference of that scene that they are unable to have kids due to like infertility issues, or do you think she has a miscarriage?
I took it as she has a miscarriage. We actually saw that film not too long after we had a miscarriage, and to us, there was no doubt that's what it was. That actually was a really, really tough opening to him. It was like getting punched in the stomach, going to see a kids movie and having no idea something like that was about to hit you across the face. So
that's how I've always taken it as well.
Yeah, we took it as that. If it
I know
wasn't,
some people that vehemently disagree with me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I did not know that was in contention. So anyway, like I said, Tony would be a fun person to talk about this right now, but then we'd have to allocate the next 3 hours and whiteboards and all that stuff. So I just found it interesting. I call them kids' movies. I'm glad that adults enjoy them too, but I don't make a huge distinction, and I hope Lee doesn't quote tweet me and get me canceled. Do you have an opinion on this?
I get it. I think maybe they're a little sensitive to what there's. I mean, you could even put, if that original tweeter put kids movie, like saying other people call it a kids movie. I'm not saying that, then it might have been different. Yeah, and I know there was also something at the Oscars this year in a similar vein where people took issue with the way that category was presented by calling them kids movies and things like that. I mean, I've definitely been the only, not the only adult, but I've had experiences where I go see a new Pixar movie and it's only adults, maybe one kid, and then I've had other ones where you're the odd adult in a theater filled with parents and children. So, I think that there are animated movies that are definitely kids movies, and I think there are obviously Disney wants to make movies that are family movies, and they're meant to be clean for that reason. Like, I'm sure if Pixar could do whatever it wanted and didn't care about the child audience, they would maybe include some different themes and things that they can't do now or won't do because of their parent company. So I think it's a little disingenuous to act like that they're absolutely not for kids when you're they are. They're not purely kids movies, but they're
right. My problem with let me get Tony on here. This would be a multiple whiteboard issue, and somehow the last 3 minutes have destroyed my efforts in getting LP more credibility in terms of adults and animation. Sorry, Tony. You keep doing what you do, but we have multiple voices here, and we will not be silenced. So here's my humble opinion on this. there is definitely a distinction between kids movie and family movie, and Pixar makes some of the greatest family movies ever made. The problem I've always had with Pixar is I get the feeling that there is a part of Pixar that feels like making movies where kids are the primary audience isn't enough. I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. Not recognizing the value in that. I make it analogous to an entertainer who feels like they also need to be a spokesperson or something else. Like entertaining isn't enough. And while certainly entertaining isn't directly the same as, heart surgery, entertainment is a crucial part to living a good life. And if I find a good entertainer who entertains me on a regular basis, they are doing an extremely important job. That is enough. And Pixar making great kids/family movies is enough. And like I said, I get the impression that they feel like that isn't enough, that they need to do more than that. And that's an issue I feel like I've had with Pixar. And I'm glad I got to say that here, even though Tony Betty may 100% disagree with me.
No, I think you're right. I think that kind of goes to what I was saying. This is like, well, if you're just making a movie for adults, you probably wouldn't water some of the things down. Like
right.
If they had the opportunity to make it's Pixar animators, but it's a different imprint, like the touchstone of Pixar, I think the things that they'd make would probably be different.
And I think so. As a result, I think they water some things up more than I wish they should. They would
water up. That's different.
I think they're pushing in an effort not to just be seen as making kids movies. They push boundaries that as a parent who is putting children in front of their movies, I'd rather not be pushed. And I'm sure people out there can make assumptions about what I mean, and I will tell you your assumptions are sometimes right and sometimes wrong. This goes all over the gamut of themes that I would prefer that they not put in their kids' movies just to make them appeal more to adults. So anyway, moving on. But I do love that he said that. I'm really glad he put it out there because it kind of validates some of my thinking. And I know people feel very differently about this than I do, and I do appreciate that, including people right here in our own staff. And I love that about Laughing Place and about animation, that it inspires such passion. Kyle, were you a Disney fan when this website was huge?
No. I mean, I may have been, but I wasn't on the internet.
Well, believe it or not, what year? 1997, the year I got married. So 25 years ago, Save Mr. Toad campaign was in full force in the Miami Herald. I think a lot of people assume it was the Orlando Sentinel, but the Miami Herald wrote an article focusing on these people and these fans' efforts to save Mr. Toad. And that went on. That was a big thing. It stayed a big thing. People wanted to keep Winnie the Pooh out of Walt Disney World, at least not if it involved replacing Mr. Toad. And like I said, it was a huge campaign. One of the things they did, this is old information, how to get in touch with Disney people. If you want to email Marty Sklar or Judson Green or Al Weiss or Paul Pressler in an effort to keep Mr. Toad, this is how you contact these people. I don't think a single one of these people still works for the Walt Disney Company. Lee Cockrell. Well, that's pretty funny. I love that this stuff is still up there. So
meanwhile, they tried to sell a Mr. Toad bucket, and now they're selling it at Disney Springs because not enough people purchased it.
No one cares about Mr. Toad. I remember they had some fun like T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, lots of plays on the final scene of that ride.
Ask me why Mickey is killing Mr. Toad. Hey, did they really let people in the park?
Are you a Jeopardy fan?
Yeah. What I missed?
Yesterday there was a clue where the question was involved who is Mr. Toad or what is a toad. So that was fun. And then there was also a Walt Disney clue somewhere in the game yesterday.
Did they mention it was his birthday?
They did not. It was a little disappointing in Ken Jennings, but I have to assume that it was 2 months ago when they filmed it, so maybe he didn't come to him at the time.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Any new breaking news down there, Stat Boy? Nope, nothing at all. Let me do a quick check of the
We
Diz
will be
Twitter.
covering, I think there's a Hasbro stream starting 5 minutes ago. So I'm sure we'll get
Okay.
some toy reveals. He's
Yeah.
looking at me strangely. Maybe I'm wrong. Thought that's what he shared with our other
Well,
person.
we'll tell y'all. We've
Hasbro
got
Plus
lots,
fan stream. I don't think I'm crazy.
lots coming up later today on Laughing Place TV. Just making a quick check of the Diz Twitter before we go. All right, so we're going to be back here. Unless if news breaks, we're back right away. But otherwise, we'll be back here at 2:45 Pacific time today. We are going to hopefully be checking in with Mike again at Disneyland, see what he's been up to, talking to Mac as he's watching this Hasbro release / stream / cool toy stuff. And also, the social embargo for Avatar: The Way of Water lifts at 3 o'clock. So we're going to get out there and see what the socials are saying about it. The full reviews aren't out yet, but people are allowed to give their impressions. So always fun to get out there and give those impressions. 11 Eastern was the Hasbro, I think. So that means it was 3 hours ago. So that is at 2:45. We plan to come back on. And then at 4 p.m., the highlight of everyone's LPTV week, Barely Necessities, will be here starring Becca and Rebecca, the Disney merchandise show. Looking forward to seeing that. At 4 p.m. Pacific time, and at 7:30 p.m. Pacific tonight, we have Disney Trivia Live starring myself and my son. Tonight's contests are, see if I remember this, I just thought of these on the way here. Contest number 1 will be a crowdsource called High School Yearbook, and contest number 2 will be Merry and Bright. So those are your contests for tonight.
M-A-R-Y or M-E-R-R-Y?
M-E-R-R-Y. It is a holiday-themed contest. So High School Yearbook and Merry and Bright will be your contest tonight.
Be a Blair quiz.
Unless I'm not able to get it done, and then we'll just go with something Nick has in the hopper. So that's tonight. Hope to see you there, Kyle.
Yeah.
In the meantime, please stay tuned to Laughing Place TV for all the Disney news and fun throughout the day. And we will see you all in just a few hours. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Thank you. Bye.